Hello and welcome to our virtual Lunch and Learn. Today's session is an introduction to PlantPax System Estimator. My name is Rachel Green and I'm the Digital Communications Specialist here at McNaughton-McKay Electric Company. Presenting for us today will be Brian, Systems Engineer out of our Toledo, Ohio branch. Out in the comment section, ready to answer your questions, is Kevin Wills, Systems Engineer operating out of our Hebron, Ohio branch. We'll also have a Q&A portion at the end for Brian to answer your questions in more depth. We'll be getting started shortly, but we'd like to allow a few minutes for attendees to join us. As you come in, let us know where you're tuning in from in the comment section. You can view recordings of previous virtual Lunch and Learns on our YouTube channel under the Virtual Lunch and Learn playlist, and we cover a new topic every Wednesday at noon, so be sure to join us on your lunch break. For anyone just joining, welcome to our virtual Lunch and Learn today, Introduction to PlantPax System Estimator. Let us know where you're joining us from in the comment section as you come in. We'll be looking for your questions as you have them in the comments while our presenter gives us an overview of the PlantPax System Estimator today. Our specialist, Kevin Wills, is ready to respond to your questions there in the comments, and we'll have a Q&A portion at the end for Brian's presentation as well. If you'd like to reach out afterward, or if you have further questions for Brian, you can send us an email at macamaclive@mc-mc.com there on your screen. Be sure to let us know which session you attended and we'll direct your questions to Brian. We'll have that email address on the screen for you at the end as well. Hi, Leanne. Thanks for joining us. Looks like we have a number of attendees with us now, so I'll pass it over to you, Brian.
Okay, can you hear me?
I can.
All right, this is an introduction to the PlantPax System Estimator. This is an advanced tool for making sure you've properly sized your hardware for PlantPax system. This assumes you know something about PlantPax itself. This tool is an advanced calculator, essentially. PlantPax is the Rockwell Automation Distributed Control System platform, and we're using FactoryTalk View, visualization, and ControlLogix hardware. There's special terms in this software that are used that you won't see in other Rockwell software. PASS is the Process Automation System Server. This is basically the HMI server. PADC, the domain controller. This is a Microsoft Windows domain controller. This is what's handling users, permissions, things like that. EWS, the engineering workstation, is where you would do programming or things like that. And OWS is the operator workstation. And again, you won't see this outside of PlantPax within Rockwell software. So just as a heads up, we'll see this again in the side of the tool. But the big summary here and the best information I can give you is that this tool is free, and go get it and try it yourself. This tool assumes you've done a first pass design of a project. You know how many I/O points you have. You know how many locations and different control panels you have. You've made some decisions on software versions. You've made some decisions on do you want a virtualized system or a hardware system? But if I could emphasize, the most important point here is try it yourself. And as an aside here, I will show you some internet computer technology humor here. So computer enthusiast humor here. A flowchart on how to learn or solve any computer problem. And essentially, you find something that looks like what you want to do and click on it. And just keep following a flowchart until maybe after you've clicked on a few things, then you start looking for some Google terms, some help files. Then after that, ask somebody else for help. But this is supposed to be funny, and if you can follow this, you're a computer expert. Excuse me. The biggest thing here, though, is I'll show you where to find this and there's a link in the description here. But you're going to go to the Rockwell website. You're going to go to Support Control Systems Configuration Tools. And there's a downloads link here for Product Selection Toolbox. It's just going to ask you for some minor information about yourself, and you can download this software. Inside of Product Selection Toolbox is Integrated Architecture Builder, and the PlantPax System Estimator is a tool inside of Integrated Architecture Builder. So it's a tool inside of a toolbox. Another thing I should point out is PlantPax System 5 here has the process controller compatibility. But if you don't have a process controller, or if you have an older version, you would want to download the process library. So you're going to go to the Rockwell homepage and then go to downloads, find downloads, type in process library. There it is. And select your version. This is to manually add the PlantPax objects into your project. If you have the latest and greatest controller, the process controller in the L80 series, ControlLogix controllers, it will have all of these objects inside of it already. You would select that inside of the tool. So let's go into Integrated Architecture Builder here. This is the software. If you select a new project, let's just make up a name here. You're going to select PlantPax System Estimator underneath here and give it a name and a location. And here we are. So major decisions at the very beginning here, your system preferences. So in a brand new project, I would always say select the newest version. Maybe you have an older system you're adding to, so you want to pick an older version here, but the tool has a few versions ready to go. Hardware defaults, you can select your preferred discrete I/O cards. Motor controls are set up initially as motor control centers, and inside motor control centers, you can select those to be compatible with PlantPax objects as far as the wiring that's provided in a motor control center. So all this ties together. And again, this is a high-level overview. This is going to be specific to your project. This is going to be something that you need to go into and try and learn where everything is, check boxes, uncheck boxes, and see what it does. Another big thing on this first page here is where you can select a virtual architecture. And when you do that, it's going to convert your project so that all of these items in this physical architecture tree will then turn into virtual images. Rockwell provides virtual images for all of these items. There's a more detailed document on that, and we would have to go into that separately. But essentially, these virtual images are all of the software on the platform installed to the correct version, and all you have to do is install your own licenses for Microsoft Windows and Rockwell software, and then log into the proper FactoryTalk directory and Windows domain, and then it's all set up after that. And as you're going through and add things here, the virtualization will sort of tell you here how big your virtual server needs to be, and then you could even select the redundancy level. So there's many ways to select this. This is all specific to your project here. So let's just take 1 second here, and I'm just gonna click through a few options. So that is that page. So here's the pass. I talked about pass. That's the essentially the screen server here. So you have just a lot of things to go through here. If you have a number of displays in mind, You could select the display quantity of 100, 250, unlimited. Operator workstations have interesting number of things that you might don't think about right away, but like how many tags are going to be displayed on how many monitors, because this is going to affect your communication rates. And you have to know a lot about your project to be at this point anyway. So let's just make up some numbers here. And then you can set up IO locations. So here's the default controller. It gave me the 83 process controller. You can select redundancy. You can select, these are preferred controller types, but the calculator tool in here is going to tell you based on the amount of IO you select, the number of other items you select here, that's going to tell you if this is the properly sized controller or not, or if you need to go up in a size, or if you need multiple controllers. And within here, you also need to know a bit of detail about your network. This is PRP, Parallel Redundancy Protocol. So there's a number of networking decisions you need to make as well. I can't show you every single networking item as well as first. We would need 2 days to go through every sidebar conversation on all of these items here. So, this is easy to add to. You right click up here and say, I want another operator workstation, and it puts it at the bottom here. Or you want to add it underneath this. There's just some different ways to do things. So this operator workstation, maybe I'll have 4 monitors with 3 process displays and a varied number of tags. Domain controller, you can select redundant or not. That's the simplest thing on this whole list here. Engineering workstation, that's going to have your Factory Talk Studio. It's going to have your Logix 5000. Historian, how many tags do you want to run on a historian? It'll ask you some questions here. Asset manager, how many things do you want to license through asset manager? So this is going to, at the end here, give you a nice bill of material. But you need to just, again, I keep talking about it. You need to try this yourself, and you need to have a sufficiently developed project to get to this point. And I'm stumbling here a bit, but I guess there's a lot of stuff here, and let's go here. Let's type in some IO points here. All right, so as another example here, this will sort of tell you how much memory you should expect to use based on this number of IO points. And we can add another controller. And I'm just messing around here and showing you a few things as far as this, but the best way again is to have more specific stuff to your project and to go get it. So this is giving me an error here because my switch is not sufficient for what I've just selected. So there's some checks inside of here, and let's see what this tells me to do. I think it doesn't like that I added this. So let me just take this back off here. Well, I did something and now it doesn't like what I did. But now I'm here improvising, and everybody's wondering who's the expert here. Anyhow, are there any questions that are in chat at this point? This is really project specific program, and I'm just trying to give you a quick overview of how to install it, how to look at it.
Yeah, Brian, we did actually have one question which Kevin addressed, but I'll read it out to you now if you'd like to answer. We have a user that asks, what is the definition of PlantPax? And Kevin did respond to say that PlantPax is a plant-wide control system that utilizes a common automation platform to seamlessly integrate both process and discrete control, as well as plant-wide information. But if you'd like to add anything to that, feel free.
Oh, yes, excellent. That's an excellent question, and that's a good answer. What I would add to that, Plant PAX is what they're calling it characterized, which means they test and test and they characterize it, meaning that it's going to guarantee a performance if you've run the project through this calculation tool. It's going to guarantee the performance. And Plant PAX, what you'll find out is if you're familiar with FactoryTalk View SE, if you're familiar with Logix 5000, ladder logic, it's just that it's that normal stuff that you program. It's that working together, but it's using the process library or the process objects in the process controller, and it is essentially guaranteeing performance by running it through this calculator tool. That's the big thing here, is that it's wrapped in a nice encompassing description, because we've not just thrown a bunch of hardware and software together because we've done it in the field for 20 years and we know that it's going to work. We've thought ahead of time and come up with a process solution. If that makes sense.
Yeah, that's great. We don't have any further questions at this time. If there's anything else you'd like to show or a specific use case you wanted to demonstrate for us, definitely feel free to.
Well, I mean, the biggest thing was just really quick flying through the software, going through and showing where the download was, just showing some of these options. And I don't have a specific project because this is always going to be unique to whoever's doing the project. And
Perfect. Okay.
I hope that
Well,
makes
absolutely makes sense. Yeah. If anyone does have any follow-up questions for Brian, you can always reach out to us at the MacMac Live email address, or feel free to drop your questions in the comment section now, and we'll give a few minutes here for anyone that might have some follow-up questions. While we wait to see if we do have any, I just want to remind you that you can always watch recordings of virtual lunch and learns from previous weeks on our YouTube channel under the virtual lunch and learn playlist. And that will be exactly where you can find the recording of this session as well. We do have a couple questions coming in here. Chris Simmons wants to know, when you finish making selections and save, what happens next, export or import functions?
Well, if you check this box, it's going to generate, it's going to generate your project back into Integrated Architecture Builder. So it'll give you a bit of a network layout here. That's the biggest thing, that Integrated Architecture Builder itself is used primarily as a network layout tool. So it will throw this over to that, and then you can create a report. But what that's just going to do, it's just going to give me some errors because I haven't gone through and done a bunch of extra checks. But if I click beyond the wizard, which I just did, it drops my network into Integrated Architecture Builder, which is what that tool is primarily used for. So I'm not going to go through this because it's just going to give me some errors because I didn't do a full-fledged checkout. But if you click create a report here, then it's going to give you a bill of material. The bill of material is going to show you all of the different numbers of software licenses, the catalog codes from the Rockwell catalog. So the software licenses, the controller hardware, whatever IO you've selected, and it'll populate out a chassis. If you say I have 25 digital inputs and you have 16 input cards, it's going to give you two 16 input cards. It'll go to that level. It'll give you a nice description of the system. It's a big template that it fills out, but it will give you specific information if you follow through to this level. So,
Okay, great.
like I said, I have error messages here, and it's might not look pretty if I did it right now. So I was a little more thorough.
Okay, I hope that answers your question, Chris. If you have follow-up questions, feel free to ask them now. We are thankful for all of you joining us here today and thankful to Chris for being our resource out in the comments section as we've gone through. I'll just reiterate the MacMac Live email address once again. If you have follow-up questions or if you're watching this as a recording, you can always reach us there. Just go ahead and reference the title of the virtual lunch and learn you attended so we can know who to direct your questions to. And one of our specialists will be sure to reach out to you directly. All right, it does not look like we have any further questions. So again, I want to thank all of our viewers that are here today on the live stream. Thank you, Brian, for this presentation, and thank you again to Kevin for being our resource out in the comment section. We'll have another virtual lunch and learn topic for you next week, again at noon, so be sure to join us live there. And thank you, everyone. Have a great day.
All right, thank you.